I'm Michael Bungay-Stanier. This is Change Signal. This is the podcast where we cut through the blather and the BS and the noise to find the good stuff that really works in change. If you are a transformational leader and you're seeking modern change mastery, here's where we plug into a new source of energy and we throw the switch. I think one of the profound conversations about how change works in organizations is really about how power works in organizations. I mean, change means a redistribution, a reworking of power. And let's face it, power is a bit scary and a bit elusive and a bit hard to talk about. I've known for ages who I want to be my guide in this conversation. It's Tiziana Casciaro, who is the co-author with Julie Battilana of Power for All, How It Really Works and Why It's Everyone's Business. And I love the democratization of power at the heart of that title and subtitle. Tiziana is also a professor of organizational behavior at the Rotman School of Management here in Toronto and the Marcel Dassault Chair in Integrative Thinking. This conversation is going to be illuminating. Tiziana, welcome.
Michael, I've been looking forward to our conversation. We always have a good one when we talk. So this is going to be a fun exercise for us.
I think so too. Tiziana, what's the old story of power that you're looking to change or disrupt?
Well, you anticipated it with the mention of this democratizing effort. Julie and I have embarked on to rethink of power, in a sense to rehabilitate it. Power has a bad reputation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it very, very much deserves it. We see displays of horrendous power abuse all the time. I don't need to list them. Everybody that is listening to this knows what I'm thinking about. But power, the way we conceive of it, is really just energy.
Right.
The energy to move things. And you can move them in positive directions or in terrible directions. But power in and of itself is neutral. It's really all about what we use it for, how we accumulate it, how we're able to redistribute it. And we are hoping that this understanding of power will enable people to engage with it, as opposed to running away from it or recoiling from the ugliness that we often associate with it.
So if I'm a transformational leader, a change leader, how do I even know how much power I have?
Well, the diagnosing of your own power bases is the core of what we call power mapping. So understanding who has control over the things that the organization values most.
Right.
And power, in the sense, underpins every change effort. Because it really comes down to understanding what the organization values, what the people in it, individually or in groups, value. And the two things may or may not overlap. So there is an organizational goal, mission, purpose. It could be as simple as making money.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as surviving. But then within the organization, every individual, every subgroup has an agenda, has things they want to accomplish, things they care about. And so change always affects whether these people get what they want. So the change agent has to first and foremost understand what people are after, what motivates them, what keeps them going, what energizes them, what they run away from. And the change has to speak to those needs. And so you need to first understand them.
Yeah.
Then at least understand how you're positioned in delivering those wants and needs. And then if you're not the right person to satisfy those needs and wants, who does?
Right.
Who can? And those become the people you want to bring on board to help you with the change.
Oh, there's a lot here. I love this idea of power mapping, but it also feels slightly overwhelming because I just think about how complex organizations are. And I'm like, I can't even map the org design, which isn't even the power design. It's just kind of like, in theory, how the boxes are arranged and how the lines and dotted lines work. How would you coach me to go about power mapping? Where do I start?
Yeah. Power mapping, just like change, is a profoundly relational exercise. You have to talk to people. You have to reach out.
Right.
You have to be really curious about where they're coming from and what they're thinking and why they're thinking what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And when they don't want to talk to you, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you because maybe they don't trust you.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're new to the organization and they have no relationship with you. Why would they open up to you? You have to be very observant of all the things that signal to you who is influential,
Yeah.
who is peripheral, who is succeeding and why, who is struggling and why. And those are things that are often there for us to observe. But our attention is spread so thin that we fail to really code them in our minds and build this map. But the evidence is there. So we see case after case of the person who says, I don't know, it's so complicated. I just, there's so many people, so many units, so many departments, so many layers of hierarchy. How am I supposed to figure it out? And then you point out to them that a certain couple of people have emerged from your study as important. And they go, oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. So they knew it.
They know it.
You often know it, but you have not been alerted yet to the importance of paying attention to that. I mean, let's remember that the old models of organizational change, leading change, that started to kind of come to the fore in the 90s, did not talk about networks at all.
Right.
There was this idea that there is a leader who has a change initiative in mind.
Yes.
And they develop a vision, and then they have to communicate it. And then if all goes well...
Cascade it down through the organization.
That's it, you got it.
Yeah.
And then if all goes well, people start to engage a little bit with it because it sounds good.
Yeah.
To some people, at least. Then they try it out, and there's a small win. And then you advertise a small win to the organization and say, yo, look, it works, man. You can do it. And then everything falls in place. And then you institutionalize it by changing structures, systems, compensation, all the things.
Yeah.
In those models, the idea of that deep relational work that underpins all of that stuff is never mentioned. We're not really cognizant of how much talking and how much listening change really requires.
Yeah.
And any phase of the change effort is bound to fail if you haven't brought in people. And sometimes these conversations are very informal.
Yeah.
They are emergent. They are your attempts to kind of get into the mind and the heart of the people you're trying to lead somewhere and really understand them.
So I want to get really practical about this. Step number one, who do I even figure out who to talk to or who actually matters first? Because I can go, look, I've got a big organization. There's already X number of people in the executive leadership team. Then there's people who are leading the different business divisions. Then there's the people who are leading the change within those different... There's a lot of people, and I can quickly catastrophize and accelerate into overwhelm. So as a starting point, how would you help me identify who I should go and talk to in the first place?
Mm-hmm. You start with the people that you have a modicum of trust with.
Oh, that's good.
They know you a little bit. You know them a little bit. They understand that you mean well.
Yeah.
And they will give you the first step.
Yeah.
And you ask relatively straightforward questions. You say, who is admired around here? Who do people hold in high regard?
Oh, that's great.
It's a positive question, as opposed to asking the nasty questions like, who's a loser around here?
Right.
Who should I stay away from?
Right.
Who are the bad people? You know, those are the questions that immediately cast you as a manipulative, kind of nosy, Machiavellian person, which you may not be at all. I'm assuming always that the change agents, the people who take it upon themselves to do this thing, which is so difficult to do, mean well. They actually want to improve the organization.
Oh, look, 100% guarantee that everybody who's listening to this podcast has a heart of gold. Their intentions are pure. They are paladins in the change management battlefield of the world. On
That's
this
right.
podcast, at least, we're all good on that.
We're all good. We're all good. So you start with people with whom you have a relatively, it doesn't have to be massively close as a relationship, but there's a little bit of trust. And then you can ask them, who should I talk to?
Right.
Who are the people that I really should understand because they have good perspective on what the organization has gone through, what it's trying to do. And I can really get into the things that have been obstacles from their perspective. And then you do what people like me, the study organizations do oftentimes. It's a snowball technique.
Right,
you start with a core, and then you kind of branch out. And it turns out that a lot of people don't mind talking to you. They may not be always 100% open at the beginning because they don't know what you're going to do with the knowledge that they give you. So trust building is slow. And that's another aspect of this relational job of change that the change agent has to be prepared for. Yeah. But that's how you start.
That's great. That's really helpful. I really like that question. Now, who's admired around here? Who gets things done? Who has a good reputation? If I'm a change or transformational leader and I'm seeking to better understand the relationships and how things happen within an organization, is there another question or two that you would coach me on to go, this is a good question to find stuff out?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier the question for the change agent, do I have influence? Yeah. How am I positioned in this map of relevance or irrelevance? And what we have found in our research is that there's a question that you can ask yourself that gives you very good information about your position in this map. And the question is, do people come to me for advice? Are you a person that on a regular basis as somebody knocking on their door or sending them the email saying, can I pick your brain for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And which is never 5 minutes, we all know.
Exactly.
Can I have you as a sounding board? I'm struggling with something. I love your perspective on it.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very good indicator of whether you are in the crux of this informal network that is based on people's discretionary choice. Do I go and talk to Michael or do I go and talk to Tiziana? Who do I pick?
Yeah.
Question number one. The flip side is like, suppose you're not a person that people go to. And there could be a million reasons why they don't. Then the question for you that you have to ask everybody is, who is it that people go to when they encounter an obstacle?
Yeah.
They are trying to problem solve. Who are the people that are really helpful? And then you start to kind of map it out. And it turns out that it doesn't take very long to figure out who those people are. It's not a very well-kept secret. And that's already a very strong foundation for you to start the snowball of gathering information about the organization and where people stand vis-a-vis the change that you're trying to push.
So that question, do people come to me for informal advice, informal sounding board? Hey, can I have 5 minutes to pick your brain? I love it. And it scares me a little bit because what if the answer is like, nobody comes to me for that? So what if as part of listening to this conversation, there are people going, man, I am not a hub for influence and power. And I might need to be an effective transformational leader. What do I do?
Well, there are always two ways to go about it. One is you start to develop those relationships. They take time, but they're there for you to develop.
Right.
You talk to people, you're thoughtful.
Yeah.
You understand their needs, and you become a person that can deliver, or at least can give them a little bit of a hand in fulfilling those needs. And the needs could be purely professional. I want that role. I want that budget. I want that position. But they could also be very personal and psychological. I want to feel that I'm accomplishing something. I want to feel that I am regarded positively in this organization. That could be all kinds of more psychological things that people desire.
Yeah.
That's route number one. The second one does not involve you building the network per se. It involves you bringing on board as fellow change agents people that complement your network,
Right.
but also just your abilities when it comes to creating change. Because there are multiple things that have to happen for change to be accomplished.
Yeah.
There are really three functions that somebody in the change team has to be able to deliver on.
Okay.
The first one is bringing the concern, the issue, to people's awareness.
Mm-hmm.
The old models of change called it creating a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
My phenomenal co-author and friend, Julie Battilana, calls it agitation.
Yes.
People have to think that whatever you want to change needs changing.
Yeah.
If you don't have them at that level, you have lost the battle to begin with. So somebody in the change team has to be good at conveying this need for change, the rationale for it, the urgency of it, and so on and so forth. Not everybody is a good agitator. You better have at least one of those on your team. The second thing that change requires is innovation. Meaning you have agitated, you have brought up the concern. People say, yeah, Michael, you're right. What do we do about it? If you don't give people an approach that Julie calls innovation, you can call it a solution, you can call it an approach to problem solving, a new structure, a new system, a new cultural norm, whatever it may be. People are not going to engage because they don't see the way forward.
Right.
And then you're still not done. You still need somebody on that team that once you have persuaded people that change is necessary, and you've also persuaded them that the solution you have in mind is a good one, because it could be a stupid one. Let's not forget that all of us that try to change things sometimes are wrong about what we want to do about it. So actually, in the innovation phase, I really appreciate change agents who can take the feedback and adjust their solution, adjust their approach, because it may be wrong.
So as we hear Tiziana sharing these different phases, I'm also thinking not just who can do this, but where do we find the energy for this? Because different people on your team will have different amounts of, say, agitation energy. You might also look outside your team to say, look, where do we find the necessary energy to create agitation or innovation? Or the third element, orchestration.
But let's assume that you got it right. The third thing that change requires is orchestration. What does it mean? There are always going to be multiple stakeholders, each with slightly different needs and goals, interests. And the orchestrator brings them all together under one tent, such that there is a unified effort. You're not fighting the battle by yourself. You have enough people from enough corners of the organization. That's actually very important to underscore. Sometimes when you're very, very passionate about this change you want to institute in the organization, you fight people who don't agree with you 100%. But change requires actually bringing a lot of people under one tent.
Yeah.
And so there's compromise, there's a little bit of finding the common ground, communicating a lot, coordinating a lot.
Yeah.
So on that change team, you better have an agitator, you better have an innovator, you better have an orchestrator. And you may not be all of these things. You can have some natural kind of capability for some of them, but not all. And just like being the crux of the network or not, you complement the things that you are good at and not so good at with the rest of the team. It's not a solitary sport, change management.
That's so true. So for more on Tiziana and her work on power, head to powerforallbook.com. So powerforallbook.com. And you should be able to find a tool there to self-assess which of these three roles you most naturally and regularly play. So that's valuable stuff. powerforall.com. Let's dig into each one of those just a little more deeply if we can. Agitator. And you said this is kind of an evolution of that idea of it's got to have a sense of urgency, or an older metaphor that people use a lot is like the burning platform. What's the burning platform? First of all, I'm just curious to know. In a moment, I want to ask you what makes for a good agitator, but I'm curious to know why you choose agitator over urgency or over burning platform. What's the power of that word in particular?
It conveys the sense that the change agent doesn't take the status quo for granted. They don't accept it.
Right.
So in that sense, they agitate. They shake it up. That's really what it speaks to.
How do I find a good agitator? What am I looking for? How do I find somebody who's got that ability to kind of actually create agitation?
Yeah, the high need for achievement, goal-oriented person is not a particularly good agitator because they take the goals that are given to them without discussing.
Right.
A good agitator shakes it up and says, why are we pursuing that again?
Yeah, I like that.
Why is that a good goal? And they question everything. So in that sense, they don't let people be tranquil in their conventional path. They just say, no. We need to rethink that. And it's never a peaceful exercise.
Yeah.
In that sense, organizations don't like them.
No, exactly.
Most
the
of the
organization
time.
is like, we like it exactly the way it is. That's the point of an organization, is homeostasis.
That's right.
So how does the agitator not get rejected by the system?
So this is where the enlightened leader is essential. A good enlightened leader is the one that when there is a little trace of agitation in somebody down there, middle management or even further down, very eagerly listens to them.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, why don't you just kind of let us do this thing instead of always bringing up complaints? It's because it sounds like complaints.
Yeah.
When in fact, these are precious, precious individuals who are trying very hard to bring up things that you may not be aware of, you may not be paying attention to. But it takes enlightenment, and I use it liberally, that term, the ability to take this negative feedback about the things that are not working and not take it personally.
Right.
It's not you, a big-time leader. It's just that organizations always need improvement. And thank goodness, once in a while, there's somebody who's willing to raise their hand and say, I'm sorry, could I mention something? Yeah. So how do you find these people? Go down to the shop floor. I hear this a lot. Leaders say, I have an open door policy.
Right.
They can always come to me. This ephemeral person, the agitator, can always come to me.
Right.
And tell me stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't come to you because they don't know if it's really true.
Right. And why would you go into the den of wolves? Like, how's that going to work out for me? Probably not that great. Let me come to your power source and complain. That feels like a highly risky behavior.
Very risky behavior. You don't know what's going to happen to you when you do that. And actually, you're right that oftentimes bad things happen to you when you do that.
Right.
So you have to go to them. You have to really make your way down there. And I understand we live in a virtual world and a dispersed world. It's not always easy to do, but you always have opportunities to do those things. You have to orchestrate them to be there in the action. And then people will know that you mean it, that you really want to hear.
Let's talk about what it takes to be a great innovator. And you've already said something interesting, which is like having a solution, but often that first idea isn't the right idea. It feels like having a solution that's at least directionally correct, so that it can evolve and change as the plan and the process, meets reality and becomes emergent. What are the characteristics in your experience of the people who are successful at being innovators?
Well, it takes a hefty amount of curiosity. Curiosity, and I would say met with creativity. Mm-hmm. The capacity to not think within the box all the time, to really get out of it.
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but unfortunately, that's true. Yeah. We have conventional ways of thinking that sometimes make it very difficult to come up with a new approach to a problem. This being said, you don't have to be an artist or a magical engineer that has this kind of technical prowess. Sometimes the innovation is right before your eyes. It's relatively simple. It can be a technical solution. It could be a new software that opens a possibility for people to speak out. So you don't have to necessarily to pick the genius who is so amazingly creative.
Yeah, it's a highly overrated idea. The lone genius coming up with the perfect solution.
Highly overrated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with a lot of ideas in our organization that are just dying to contribute.
Yeah.
And they have this fire and it gets stifled all the time because they don't get access to what they need to develop those ideas.
We've got agitators and innovators, then orchestrators. And I love the idea of this. So in your experience, how would you coach me to be a better orchestrator?
You have to, I think, do two things. One is to be a real listener, to really understand why is it that they're not with me 100%.
Right.
That there's something that they're ambivalent about, a goal that our change is not really allowing them to pursue. Yeah. Truly engage and truly listen to their reasoning and the rationale and their what their heart is telling them. The other thing is that you have to not take it personally. Sometimes, the change agent, there's a pride in having been the one who agitated, who innovated. Here I am. Without me, man, you would do nothing.
I'm the hero, man.
I'm the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so good. I worked damn hard to get us to this point, and it becomes your baby.
Right.
A good orchestrator never does that. Maybe they're tempted to do that. Today, it's my thing, and you have to do it my way. They are really thinking, okay, it's not about me being the hero. It's about rallying all the troops that are there, but we haven't been able to really put under the same logic for the change. I've seen some people do this magnificently, and they often have to fight other members of the change coalition. They go, no, we're not gonna work with those people. They've been against us all the way. Right. But now they're no longer against us.
Yeah.
They wanna hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah.
A good orchestrator lets them in, even if they've been, as you said earlier, enemies all along.
Right. There's a real generosity of spirit to that. And it also
actually, honestly, Michael, I would say you don't even have to be generous.
Yeah.
You have to be
pragmatic
about it. This is very emotional. It becomes very emotional because change is so hard that you need to invest so much of your effort and your mind in it that you become irrational, right? About ownership, about revenge for all the people that were mean to me. Yeah. Revenge is the opposite of what an orchestrator does. You come on in, it's okay. The prodigal son, the prodigal daughter, everybody can come back in.
You don't often think of generosity and open-heartedness being a key characteristic of a change agent, but perhaps it is. But I think this ties back to some other episodes in the Change Signal series where people have been talking about resistance and how it can be more helpfully framed, not as a kind of you versus me thing, but more as a you trying to tell me what's precious thing. There's something interesting about that orchestrator going, I keep remembering what the big win is here. And the big win isn't a small victory over somebody who's annoyed me in the past. We're trying to make a change. This is where we started, really, Tiziana. It's like, we're trying to make this organization a better place. And for that, I've got to put maybe a little bit of my ego aside to make sure I bring on the right people to try and make the right stuff happen.
That's right. And that's where your original intentions, the why you decided to embark in this, is something you have to think really long and hard about. Why did you even start with the change? Right. And, as you said earlier, a lot of the people who listen to this podcast really want to do good work.
That's it.
So if you have that anchor, that kind of big tent orchestrator approach should come easier to you. because you're still motivated by something fundamental that doesn't require to feed your ego and your sense of self, even though we have to acknowledge it. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to feel that we're competent. We want to feel that we have the best interests of the organization at heart. We want to feel that we have value. And so it's normal to have this reaction after people have opposed you, they're giving you a hard time. It is natural to feel like you so don't appreciate me, and now I'm not going to appreciate you. Okay?
Yeah.
But the anchor on the underlying motivation for it all should keep you sane and keep you on the higher ground.
Tiziana, just to shift the conversation a little, my hypothesis, you can tell me whether this is true or not, or close to being true. One of the challenges of change in general is it implicitly says power is going to shift in some way. If you're starting here, you're trying to get to there. When you get to there, some people are going to have more, some people are going to have less, some people are going to have different power. If I'm a change leader, a transformational leader, how do I help the redistribution of power work? Because I suspect one of the reasons change fails is people go, yeah, I can see it's a good idea, but I just don't want to give up this power and this status and this authority that I currently have.
Yeah. It's like, the unavoidable reality. Power redistribution is a part and parcel of this. There's always a couple of ways. I like having two pathways through a problem. One is to persuade the people who resist because they fear, sometimes with reason, that their position will change and not for the better.
Yeah.
Sometimes that fear is unwarranted. They have not seen how the change can work for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes the reason why they don't see it is that because they've not received the resources they need to thrive in the new regime, so to speak. So imagine you have a new technology, and now, with AI coming in, and we all understand this notion that there could be something so disruptive that makes my competencies obsolete.
Yeah.
Or it makes them less core to what the organization does. The change agent, in that case, overcomes the resistance by providing to these resistors the training, the skill sets, and the experience of success that they need to think, oh, okay, it can be okay for me to live in this new world. I can acquire the capabilities. I may not have them all right now, but you, Michael, are giving them to me. In the next few months, I will accumulate a certain level of expertise, or you will give me a role that fits with my capabilities in this new world and doesn't leave me behind. But you have to attend to the substance of their resistance. They're not dummies.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we think of these kind of power clingers as just egotistical and kind of
dinosaurs,
limited.
Whatever else,
But sometimes, they really have not been helped to move to the new world. And you can do that. And then there are situations, this is a second pathway to overcome resistance. There are going to be times and people that you cannot bring up. You cannot make comfortable with the right skills and approaches and background in the new world. And that's when you build coalitions of folks that can help you win that battle.
Right.
It becomes more oppositional. It becomes more a game in which some people just don't belong in the new organization.
Right.
And it seems cruel sometimes, but it's not. If you have done the work to bring them up to speed and have done your best to show them there is a lot for them to gain in the new world, if they take these steps, you've done a lot to feed them what they needed to experience their own success in the new reality. If you've done that, then it becomes okay to say, well, some people simply are not going to be a good fit for what this organization is trying to do at this point in time.
I love how Tiziana's taken this abstract idea of power and made it into something tangible for us all. So I'm curious, of course, are you an innovator or you're an agitator or maybe an orchestrator? I suspect I'm about 50-50 agitator, innovator, about 0% orchestrator. I mean, this podcast is meant to agitate and innovate and orchestrate. But to do that successfully, we need an audience, and that's you. So thank you for being one of our listeners. I do appreciate that you've listened all the way to the end. That's no small thing. And thank you for anything you've done to help to promote it. I mean, maybe you're Rebbeck01 who said, I'm so glad I found this at a time when changes large and small are making my head spin. Or maybe you're Rachel Gwendolyn who said, Michael and his guests keep it real and keep it human. That is so nice. Thank you. There's more to be found at thechangesignal.com, including signing up for the newsletter. Thank you for doing the work. I'm glad you're here.